any recordings. Celebration last year, as well as the case that was alleged. Celebration last year, as well as the case that was alleged that Khan was involved in stopping the police when they were busy with the drug operation at Eratin in Johannesburg. When he sent me this, I then concluded that means General Khan is in that meeting. It is General Khan most likely that is feeding him with the information. That was my conclusion. Why would he choose General Khan to brief me if I ask for a presentation? But again, I don't have proof of it. It is him that is writing this message. But I guess with the investigation, we're going to see linkages about all these people within the police. And my response was, sure. And then he sent another one to say back in Joburg, and after that followed by phone calls, and there's many other communication that followed thereafter. I don't have to read all of them, Commissioners, as you can see that are following on those attachments. And as I said, General Khan has been on the news. He's a component head within crime intelligence. General Khan, when he sends me this message, General Khan was appointed, his post that he's occupying as a component head at crime intelligence is an operational intelligence support within crime intelligence. But he was appointed acting as a component head of counter and security intelligence. When Khumalo arrived at crime intelligence, that was a position that General Khan was acting on. So Khumalo, I understand, he had moved him back into his old position. Counterintelligence, if I can indicate, Commissioner, is that the vetting is done at counterintelligence. Majority of operations like this drug cartel operation that is holding counterintelligence investigation, it's conducted in that office. So meaning it's a person who, it's an office that really is in the heart of intelligence operations. General Khan was acting there. General Khan has since been moved back into his technical support. I'm not saying that General Khan is involved in these leakages of information to the members of parliament and to the other people, but what is interesting is that almost everything that we see happening in parliament, in the media, comes from that component of crime intelligence. And this is where the real fight comes from. The operation of Gauteng counterintelligence that involves this drug cartel is in that component. So, and this is Mkhonzi that introduces Khan to me. I said, Commissioners, I'm going to reflect to what happened in 2011, later on my statements. Crime intelligence, modus operandi back then, and players that were involved back then with the looting on the man and irregularities, they still exist at crime intelligence today, and some of them are occupying high position. So there has no reforms that has been implemented at crime intelligence. That's why it's no surprise when you start seeing things coming out. Like I said on record, I did not say that General Khan has leaked any information. It is Mkhonzi that introduces Khan. I only know of one Khan at crime intelligence. So perhaps as we investigate further, we'll be able to see whether there's any leakages between these people. That information that is supposed to be within the confines of those four walls where the meeting was taking place ended up with Mkhonzi. Commissioners, as I've outlined a lot of communications here with Mkhonzi, if I can move faster, if you allow me to see on my statement, because I think a lot of things that we have spoken about here.
I think, General, you are now at 320.2. That would be the last page on this of this annex.
I beg your pardon?
Page 320.2.
Oh, no, I'm just talking. I'm going on my statement, trying to align myself with what is on statement.
You have covered your statement, that portion of your statement in its entirety, because of the conversation you were having with the chair, taking him through the various pieces of communication. I was just pointing out, with Mr. Mkhonzi, I was pointing out that the only page of that annexure you haven't dealt with is page 320.2, and then you'll have caught up with what you have in your statement.
General, before you go where the evidence leader is directing you, at page 320, that extract of your communication with Mr. Mkhotsi, there's where, right at the top where it's Brown Mkhotsi, and I assume the message there is from him. Good day, General, met with a complainant. Did you ever come to know who was the complainant? And what was the complaint?
I did not know who the complainant is, Commissioner. You'll notice that there will be messages and phone calls that he will be making to me, which will be very short in seconds. But I never really got to know who the person is. The only person that I could relate to in his entire conversation I'm having with him is General Khan. That seems to be the contact person with him.
And the complaint would have been what? The defeating.
Even that, he did not explain to me who's planning this defeating. It did not say. It didn't say anything. I must maybe retract back. I'm going to maybe some reflection later, as we maybe close the day or somewhere in between. We're going to present a slide where we're not necessarily going to be talking too much on it, but we're going to just reflect on some things. And part of the system of protecting the drug squad, media plays part. Let me rephrase. Journalists within media houses, they are part of this in pushing certain narrative. Why I say this is because a very well-known veteran, Ziligas of Africa, had contacted me almost immediately after this incident happened of Mbangeni. It happened beginning of the year last year. I think a month or so, he contacted me. He can come here and confirm that. He contacted me, said, Gerald, I'm hearing that you interfered with the police operation. And what is going on? So I explained to him the details of what transpired. He understood. Then he said, okay, well, there's some stories and there's nothing wrong. So he did not publish that. Later in the year, which I suppose maybe this is why Mkhotsi is coming to me with this, is that first General Tsele calls me. He's a former minister. He calls me and he says the Premier of Gauteng have approached him to go and work in Gauteng to help him fight crime in Gauteng. Therefore, he needs General Khumalo, who's a district commissioner and ex-task force commander in KZN, to come and work with him in Gauteng. And I find it strange because I think he called 2 or 3 times. While I was in a meeting, I kept giving the phone to one Brigadier Abteles who was with me in the meeting. And after that, I had a conversation with General Tsele, and then he pleaded with me to release this general to come to Gauteng. And my surprise was, but when General Tsele was in the police, he did not like the general, Khumalo. He didn't like him at all. So why now that he's out of the police, he trusts Khumalo to come and work with him in Gauteng? It was just strange. And I turned to my colleague, Jaron Hua, who was with me in a meeting. This was in Durban. Jaron Hua works at the head office from HR. So I turned to her and said, but I received a strange call here. Gerald Tsele is asking me to approach Khumalo, who's a district commissioner Zululand, to come and work with him in Gauteng, meaning he must resign from the police and go and work in Gauteng with him for 5 years, then he'll come back into the police, which was very odd. And Gerald Hua was also confused. He said, but as far as I know, Tsele didn't like Khumalo. And he made all of us at the head office to believe that Khumalo is a bad person. Why will he now suddenly want Khumalo to work with him? So it was just a strange call. I then contacted Gerald Kumar. He's a major general. I phoned Gerald Kumar and said, Gerald Kumalo, this is a request I received from Gerald Tsele. Gerald Kumalo just laughed and he said, well, don't worry. The general is not serious about that. So I asked him, what do you mean? He said, no, he's not serious. He wants me to back off on the case against Khan, General Khan from Crime Intelligence. So Tsele is pursuing Khumalo to resign from the police so that he can stay away from the disciplinary case because he was appointed to deal with that case departmentally against General Khan. So Khumalo says, no, this is the approach of Tsele to want me to back off. And that got me so upset, commissioners, that can really Gerald Cele go to the extent of wanting a person to resign from the service because he wants to protect someone? It was very strange. I did not talk to Gerald Cele from the day. I did not talk to him. I was very upset. It disappointed me as a person who's a former minister in the police. I was just upset. Fast forward, commissioners, the police have got two disciplinary processes. It's what's called expeditious, and the other one's a normal disciplinary process. Expeditious, you basically, in short, I could say, we're already saying to you, you are guilty of an offense. Come before a presiding officer to explain why you say you're not guilty, in a way. But in a normal process, the employer must present the allegations, and you have a chance to cross-examine witnesses and argue your case. And then you have a presiding officer that must decide. So the initial disciplinary procedure that was initiated for Gerald Khan on that interference with the drug in Johannesburg was that of a expeditious process. So Khumalo was then appointed as a person who's going to preside over that. And Major Gerald Khan approached the court granted, they overturned that and they say, no, we must go to a normal disciplinary hearing where he has a right to be represented and bring witnesses and question the witnesses and so forth. And therefore, there must be presiding officer appointed. Then Gerald Khumalo, the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence, approached me and he asked me to be a presiding officer. I then agreed. Shortly after agreeing to be presiding officer, not long after that, I started getting this communication from Mr. Mkhanazi. But at that time, I'm not understanding as to what is communication, what is the background of this communication. But he started communicating these things to me. That's why he throws Gerald Khan's name in it. And later, I think, I cannot remember exact date, I think it will have been the beginning of the year, I received an inquiry. Actually, I received a phone call from the very same journalist, Mzilazo Africa. His call was, you remember the story I asked you about of what happened in Bangin? I said, yes. He said, but my colleague has just approached me, confronted me about that story and is asking him, why didn't he publish the story? And he said, no, but there was no story there. I listened to this thing and it just didn't make sense. Somebody is trying to peddle and frame Gerald Khan for nothing, so I didn't publish this. And in his own words to me, Mzilazo Africa was, this colleague of his says to him, now I'm forced to publish the story. And Mzilazo found it strange, so he called me first. He said, hey, who did you upset somewhere in the police? Then I said, no, I don't know. They said, but is anything happening in the police that will lead people to want to publish this thing that is a year later, so old, they'd want to publish? Then I said, well, the only thing I know is that I'm going to be presiding over a disciplinary case. So he asked me, whose disciplinary case is that? I told him it's for Gerald Khan. He said, oh, no, now I connect the dots. Because my colleague and Gerald Khan are close. It could be coming from there. That is his words. Mzilazo will come here and say that. But I told him that I'm going to talk about this. He said, no, if he's called here, he will come and talk about it. I know who the colleague is. I'm not going to say it in public. He will perhaps, if you want to divulge that, he will. That's why I'm saying there are players within the media houses that are part of. So shortly after that, I received a message from the very same colleague of Mzilazo. He sent me a question about the same incident. I gave him a full explanation as I did here to Bran Mkhanazi. Full explanation. A logic journalist would have understood and said, okay, well, this is just a malicious thing, and don't publish that. But that find itself to the newspaper on a Sunday. Commissioners, it is fair. That's why I like investigative journalists. I think they're credible because they investigate first before they talk. I like the ones on TV behind cameras because they give it as is. The others that will just get information from others and write it becomes question marks, which what happened to this one.
And which Sunday publication was there?
I know the name of the journalist. I cannot remember exactly the Sunday, the paper. I don't want to, I might end up being sued if I mention the wrong name here. But I know the name of the journalist, so I can give you the name of the journalist.
You said you are not divulging it.
Yeah,
All right,
I'll
let's-
give you the name of the journalist you'll write, and you'll see the trend throughout, up to now. It's the same journalist that is part of the squad. Well, there are others that are linked with him, but... So the story goes out, commissioners, to the newspaper. It's an allegation that was made by Mkhanazi that someone wants to open a case against me. Now, in the newspaper is my full picture there, and the big heading, allegations against Nhlanhla Mkhanazi defeating, and they write a story of what happened. They, of course, write my response. So, but the problem is, it is my face there, not the complainant. It's my face that is there. The heading creates question marks about my integrity as a person, as a senior officer in the province. They put my full response on the paper. So a person who reads the paper will get to understand the context of this heading and the story. They will be fine with it. But for you to get into a newspaper, must subscribe, must pay money. Some of us don't necessarily subscribe to papers. But there is social media that is free. Now, on the social media, they take the heading because you are limited on what you write in there. They take the heading of allegations that Nhlanhla Mkhanazi is accused of defeating end of justice against a drug dealer at Kalagabusha. And that goes into their media account, social media account. And that which spreads like wildfire because people access it easy. Remember, they don't have a privilege of reading the full report that is on the paper. They are just taking it from this headline. And the picture is painted. The Mkhanazi is a bad person. And they're achieving what they want. So I took it as a pressure for me to back off from the case that I was going to preside over of Nhlanhla Khan. How do I prove that? Is because Nhlanhla Khan's lawyers, they even wrote to me on emails and said, there's these things about you on the media, so we are in doubt of your independence in dealing with Khan. They wrote to me that, and that's what they said on email. So that's when I deducted that, oh, the pressure was for me to back off on this disciplinary case. So what Khumalo told me that they were wanting him to resign because they wanted him to back off on the case. So why will they go all out to try and get us to back off on the case against Nhlanhla Khan? I'm an independent person. Yes, I know Nhlanhla Khumalo is my colleague, but I'm not going to go and go with what Khumalo perhaps might want to do in dealing with Khan. Mine is to follow the policy and the law. So we arrive in a
So you simply responded to the journalist's questions, and you did not engage the journalist on Africa had said, which was that this journalist was saying they were under pressure to publish the story. You did not engage the journalist on that.
No, I didn't. I didn't engage the journalist, Commissioner. I only gave a full response on the question he asked me. Gave a full response. He took that response as is to the paper. But the problem is, my photo and everything is there. So the damage is going to be there either way. Whether I'm responding, but my face is already on the paper. And on the social media account, that short summary of it, it's the one that is trending. Not the full response that I provided. It's not there on social media. So, which means they achieve what they wanted, paying me a bad person. And you can Google, you'll find me protecting criminals, drug dealers of Kalagabusha. It's there. Which
those captions usually attract me to stories, but when I scroll down, I can't read because it requires that I be a subscriber.
Subscribe.
Which most of the time I'm not.
The same as me, Commissioner. Majority of the people in the country, they don't necessarily subscribe to papers, but they rely on that first caption and makes a story. Maybe 2 days later, they put a full story when it's old. Then you can read it without having to pay. But it's all news by then. So, and I could see that the whole idea was just, let's tarnish this man's image. And that's all. So that's what they did. They created a doubt. So fast forward, the disciplinary case comes, and I believe I was fair to Nhlanhla Khan. Despite the allegations that came from IPID, I still protected his rights. I allowed him to bring his lawyers in there. I sat and I listened to the evidence that was provided. The very same Nhlanhla Khumalo that was asked to resign was representing the employer. General Khan had his legal team, and there were witnesses that were brought to come and testify. I could not find a single wrong that General Khan has done. In actual fact, I even said there in my own words that the SAPS owes General Khan for what he did, because General Khan stopped police officers that came to collect drugs under the person who was the head of traffic Gauteng. They came to collect a consignment of drugs from the truck. The truck that arrived in Germiston, and they wanted to get drugs from there. And the people that are owning the truck company, they said, no, you're not going to take these drugs, search this truck from here, follow it to the final destination, what is in Eratin, which is a West Rand. So 2 police officers, 1 Johannesburg traffic, and 1 captain from Zongezizwe, they followed the truck until it arrived at Eratin, and they were accompanied by 3 members from Pretoria who traveled all the way there. 1 from organized crime, 2 from the dog unit. And they all said they were coming to search the truck. And they actually offloaded the consignment from the truck, which was drugs, in bags. They took this thing and they loaded in the police car. Luckily, the lady that worked in that company contacted 10111. 10111 called Boysen police station. Boysen vehicle came there, and then there was a conflict between the police when they discovered that these policemen who says they're running these operations, they're already removing this consignment from the truck, they're loading it in a police bag. So this policeman asked, but this is a crime scene. Why are you taking this thing from here to here? If you're saying it's drugs, we have not even opened the bags. How do you know? If it is drugs indeed, why do you load them in the bag? And this one said, no, we're taking them to Zongezizwe. And this one said, but this is Boysen area. Why do you take this thing to Zongezizwe? It's found here, it's a crime scene. Get LCRC and everyone to deal with it. Then there was a conflict between police at the time, and that police member who was present there took the police vehicle, and he blocked this police car that was already loaded with drugs. He blocked it so that it doesn't move. And that's what allowed the other police officers to phone General Khan and say, there are members that claim to be from crime intelligence, they come and intervene. So he traveled all the way, he arrived almost 2 hours later. And he put a stop from these drugs to be stolen. He phoned DPCI, he phoned the local provincial crime intelligence. They came and he took over the scene and he left. But it was then strange as to how do you blame Khan for it? Because he stopped the people that wanted to steal drugs. He stopped it. So he was in a good space at the time, so I couldn't fault him. But that, commissioners, doesn't take away the fact that Mkhotsi says Khan will brief me about secret information that I discussed in the presentation. So while I'm having this belief that Khan has got to do with leaking of the information in there, perhaps according to Mkhotsi, but on the disciplinary part where Khan was accused of drugs, he did not do anything wrong. So if I had that bad intention against Khan, I would have dismissed him. But I did not, because I gave him fair disciplinary hearing, of which you can ask him today, he will tell you, no, I treated him fair. Commissioners, that was the last time the media started writing about me. That made me confirm that, my being in the media so bad, it was because of the anticipation that this is what I was going to do. And in actual fact, after that, I even received a message from Honorable Adams in Parliament who said, no, you good cop, you did well. Which I find strange. But nonetheless, we proceed with the presentation, Commissioner. I don't want to bore you with anything. I'm just reflecting to some things that we're dealing with as we are trying to bring you closer to why we are putting these names together and the picture that we're trying to paint.
General, before you move on, I think Commissioner Khumalo would like to pose a question to you.
Thank you, Professor Silo. General, for my benefit, in paragraph 197 of your statement, because MK17 is a communication between you and Mr. Mkhotsi starting from the 30th of September to the 2nd of October, 2024. I'm just trying to establish when that conversation with Mr. Nkabinde happened and what was the nature of the conversation.
Okay, Commissioners, I might have placed this paragraph like this, but Brown contacts me and it tells me about him with the minister and all that, immediately that day I called Nkabinde. Because I wanted to establish. This is last in September, somewhere about October. That's when I phoned Nkabinde to ask, but who is this gentleman? And Nkabinde said, no, Brown is a friend of the minister, but is not employed in the department. Because I will assume if he's employed, there is an advisor of the minister, and Nkabinde will have records. But Nkabinde said, no, he's not employed in the police, but he's close to the minister. So I had no reason not to believe Nkabinde, because that's what he told me. And I actually asked Nkabinde to send me Brown's number. He did send me the number to confirm it's the same number that I have. That's why I went to verify that is it registered under Brown's name.
So you say you also got the same number from the minister's chief of staff?
That's exactly. The chief of staff gave me the same number. So,
General, if I may, because the commissioner has led you to that point, that would have completed MK17. But if I can ask us to take a step back for the sake of completeness and deal with the last piece of MK17, that communication between yourself and Mr. Mkhanazi, and I take it that perhaps might just take us to tea, so when we come back, then we progress his statement, and technically that would be from 199. Just to recap, General, you had dealt with what's on the screen now. Yes, where you missed call. Do you see at the bottom 320? It ends with a missed call and a start of congratulations, you are going to a safe country or something, or to save the country. So when we go over, we are now at page 320.2. That would be the next page. And that badly captured message at the bottom of the previous page is what's at the top, starting with it's a missed voice call first, then the message, congratulations, you are going to save this country. Have you found your place? Okay. Then you can talk to this particular slide, and that will be the end of MK17.
Thank you so much, Commissioners. Commissioner, I had, from time to time, this Mr. Brown Mkhanazi will communicate with me. I might just apologize. I think maybe there might be one page missing again on the attachment. As he's going to kill me now. That's why I'm asking for my phone. I don't know how it got missed. But
may I suggest then, is it a page that precedes 320?
No, it's after. It's after. Yeah, because the last conversation that I had with Brown was on the 3rd of July, 3 days before I went public.
Okay, can I suggest then we deal with 320.2, which is what we currently have on our record?
Yeah.
Then you will speak to the one that you say is missing, provide us, and we'll once again update your files. We hope that will then complete the picture. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, as you'll see, the last part of 3201, where the message was sent on the 10th of April 2025, this year, at 17:13 in the afternoon, and Brown sent me a message saying, "My general," and I responded by saying, "Yes, sir." Towards the end of the page, "Yes, sir." And then he tried to call me. I did not take that call. And the next message starts there, but it follows to the next page. I think it's written better on the second page, where he says, "Congratulations, you are going to save this country." And I asked him, "How so?" And he says, "Standing on your ground." I immediately assume at the time, this is April, Commissioner, you will recall that on the 5th of March, I had appeared before the Portfolio Committee on Police, where I narrated the relationship between Brown and the minister, that the minister has denied knowing Brown in Parliament on record. If you so wish, you can access the YouTube and go to the records of Parliament, the Portfolio Committee on Police on the 5th of March 2025. And that recording, if you get it on YouTube, is at 4 hours, 26 minutes, where my presentation comes in towards the end of that sitting of the Portfolio Committee. I think I spoke for plus minus 30 minutes plus there. So where I explain not only the issue of Bran Mkhotsi, but the wrong things that are happening in the organization, where I even made reference to me reliving the experience I had in 2011. I presented it there before this Portfolio Committee. Now, I assume Portfolio Committee in Parliament are responsible for sharing this information with the Speaker, and the members of Parliament then must interrogate that. But unfortunately, that was the first and the last time I engaged with the Portfolio Committee on these matters of this serious interest. I'm aware they invited me to come back and talk to them about it. Maybe you will engage with them when you get there, because I already presented something to them, and I must go back again and repeat the same thing. But nonetheless, the minister had denied knowing this person, which later the minister had confirmed to know the person when he was having a conversation with someone under the X platform.
You give a time where you start speaking on YouTube. Are you able to give a time where the minister made the denial? If you can't, it doesn't matter.
Chair, perhaps I may be of assistance. That is in his statement, and he's still to get to that part. I understood the general to be summarizing what had transpired, presumably that triggered what he has here at page 320.2 from Mr. Mkhotsi, saying, congratulations, you are going to save the country.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
With that summary, the chair might not be aware, but certainly Commissioner Khumalo is. It's 11 o'clock. We're in your hands, Chair, how we deal with this.
Let us take the, perhaps we stop,
We're in your hands,
we
Chair.
stop
Thank
the
you.
general midway. Maybe, General, if you could finish the part that you were dealing with, and then we may adjourn where you think it's convenient.
Okay. No, I think this what what the SC was.
Yes, you were at the point, I think, where you were saying the minister denied.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
in Parliament.
Yes.
Parliament.
So when he sends me this message of saying standing your ground, I assume that he's referring to that session we had in Parliament. Hence, I responded to that message, which a response follows that it's so unfortunate that it has come to this for doing what we are employed to do without any favor. So that's me writing to him. And his response was, no, General, I think there is a misconception. And I asked him to elaborate. And he says, there will be time one day, my brother. I have a funeral in Limpopo and we're burying next week. And I responded to him, please accept my condolences for your loss. And that's why we ended the communication with him at the time. So that's why I said, fast forward to that. There's other, maybe during the break, we might want to make copies of that, which then comes in later up until July.
Thank you. Let's take the adjournment now and resume at 11:15.
Thank you, Chair.
11.
And despite our best efforts, we couldn't do so in the tea time. So I don't know if you want him to deal with it from his phone.
Perhaps that's best. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
We've been standing at the door for a good few seconds.
We do apologize for that, Chair.
Thank you. Yes. Please, are you leading, or will the General just deal with it?
General, just to put it in context, when we dealt with page 320.2, you said that was the end of the conversation as we currently have it on file. You indicated that there was, however, communication beyond that point, and I think you referenced July 2025. But that currently is only on your phone. We don't have copies, as I indicated to the Chair, that we were unable to transfer from you, print and make it available. So we invite you to the extent possible to guide us through the messages as you have them on your phone, and during the lunch hour, we'll attend to the physical copy thereof. That was the 320.3, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. What is missing after the please accept my apology, which is on your files, the further communication that happened on the 2nd and on the 3rd of July. It's a counterintelligence operation. I had said earlier, General Khan was acting there and he was moved. So this operation is running without him part of it. So it is people from crime intelligence that knows about the operation. That only brings it to the fore. But before the letter, those that maybe influence the minister, they thought it is a political killing system. That's why with us having displayed the performance of the team, the meritorious experts of this world, academias, who took an opportunity to talk bad about the team, being influenced by people, will come to this forum and explain where did they get this information from. If the performance is like this, and you are writing this correspondence of saying this team is still a squad, fighting squad, and so forth.
So do I understand you to be saying this, General? There were no instructions at the time of disbandment and even at the time of General Sibia's letter that related to the GCI ops and the 10 officers from KZN who had gone up to Gauteng to assist. No instructions at all related specifically to the GCI ops and to the 10 who had gone up to assist.
Chair, if I may, before the witness responds, General Mkhanazi referenced letters where he spoke of the instruction to bring all investigations and what happens to all members of the task team. May I be permitted to direct you to the documents?
May I get that more directly, please?
Okay.
Because the broad statement that all members must go, it could only have been to those who are on the ground servicing the PKTT as such, and not those that may have left KZN and were in a sense not really servicing the PKTT. So
Chair, I think what we should do.
I'm not countering what you are saying. I just
because it all depends on the wording. It could very well be those who are members of PKTT go back to their respective stations wherever they are located at the time.
Let's get clarity from the
Now, General, if you please go to Annexure MK10. That would start at your page 187. And at the same time, if you could have regard to the second part of MK10, starting at page 190. Those are the two letters you have included, signed by General Sibia. If you have located them, please start at page 188. In, I think what you reference in terms of investigations and records is at paragraph 5 and its sub-paragraphs. Then the second letter is the one at 190 is the one that speaks to what must happen to PKTT members.
Okay, Commissioners, this letter is annexed. It's dated the 4th of February 2025. It is authored by Deputy National Commissioner, Lieutenant General Sibia. He addressed this thing to the Divisional Commissioner, Detectives and Forensic Service. Paragraph 5 reads as follows, I quote, "In compliance with the aforementioned directive of the Minister of Police, you are directed to engage with the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence with a view to do a proper handing over and to follow all processes necessary to conduct a handing over process. This includes, but not limited to, 5.1, a status report of all cases. 5.2, a case register wherein all the cases were recorded and current status of court-going cases and cases under investigation. 5.3, all cases or projects, documentation relevant to the political killings task team. This should include all evidential material, documents, electronic recordings, etc. It must be booked into the SCP-13 or in possession of the team or stored in any storage facility. 5.4, all human and physical resources allocated, listed, as well as report on all financial expenditure for the duration of the operation of the task team.
I apologize.
Please repeat what
It's because I knock it and then it distorts the sound. I was referring you, General, to the letter starting at page 190, still
Yes.
part of MK10, and I was saying to the point, perhaps you might want to have regard to paragraph 3 thereof.
This is a letter that was written by Jarosbia on the 22nd of April 2025. It is addressed to the Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence as well as Divisional Commissioner Detectives and Forensic. The headings, the deactivation and disbandment of the National Task Team on Political Killings. Paragraph 3 says, reads as follows: a final feedback report on the finalization of this process, including confirmation that all task team members have reported back to their stations of origin, is awaited on or before the 25th of April 2025. End quote.
I don't know if that answers your questions, Chair, or whether you'd want General Mkhanazi to comment further. Thank you.
Maybe it does, but I would imagine it has to be read in the context of the letter of the 4th of February.
Indeed.
From which I understand everything relates to what the PKTT as such
Yes.
was involved in. So in that context, that would not necessarily mean that everything is being killed, as it were. But if you read the paragraph that the Lieutenant General just read, then it may indeed be read.
But may I also...
It may be read to refer to everybody, because if it says all members must go back to wherever they came from,
And I think
then I would imagine maybe it means that even those that were assisting the GCI ops must.
Perhaps it might assist if I remind the commissioners of...
just for the
sorry.
transcription, let's avoid it.
Apologies, Chair.
So must